Hello. Today we're gonna watch my favorite type of content, trash shows, and specifically Russian trash shows. And in today's video, we will talk about TV show about women waiting for men from prison. Most times they want to get married to them right in prison, and they haven't met those men in real life. It sounds already fun to me. Wait till I show you the footage of those. That's actually a serious topic and moral dilemma of, are people in jail deserve a second chance? Can they be people who live according to those legal laws, and can they be members of society again, or will they go back and forth into prison? My opinion, I watched the show already. I watched actually 2 seasons of the show. I love it. I love a lot of trash shows. And you probably haven't known this about me, because how could you tell when I'm wearing this fun Christmas sweater? First of all, what do I think about prisoners and do they deserve a second chance? I believe in statistics, and statistics says that most people who have been to jail go back to jail, and that happens because they get used to this regime, and they can't imagine their life outside. They don't get any psychological help and literal help with adjusting to the technology and stuff. That is a problem, that there's no programs of getting people back to life out of prison. And in normal countries there are programs like that, but still there's probably not enough. And in Russia there's probably zero. For me it also depends on what have they done, basically. It means a lot. And I can probably justify it if it's not something super serious, or they were young, if they did something accidentally, or they were just defending from someone and something happened, whatever. That I can justify, but they did terrible things and they're in jail for dozens of years. There are people who have done serious shit, and I don't think they will change. I think there's a very small chance that they would change. There's also a phenomenon of women in these shows. Those women, they are mostly young, pretty women, conventionally pretty, and they could easily get a man that is not in prison and that is a good person. But they choose to do that. And there are women in those shows that go over and over and fall in love with a prison guy, and that's already questionable. They had one guy from prison and they kind of broke up, and she found another guy and then another guy, and that is questionable. They just believe that this guy is under their control and they can control this whole situation and he wouldn't go anywhere, which is interesting. This Russian show called Ждули, which is, there's no exact translation of this word, but it literally means a woman who is waiting for the guy from prison. So waiting, probably I would translate it as that. There's multiple titles for a woman who waits for a guy from prison, and one of them is favorites. So let's just translate it as favorites. I guess there are people who get out of jail and they never commit crimes anymore and they just live their normal life. I believe that there are people that can change and so on and so forth. But statistically, most of them commit crimes again and go to prison again. I would say that those women should be very, very careful about those men, and they just blindly believe them and think that there's no cheating and there's no multiple women and there's she's the only one and she's his love. But I wouldn't be so sure about that. And the creators of this Russian show, probably, I'm assuming that they got inspired by this American TV show, and every great Russian trash show is inspired by American TV shows. There's one show that came up in 2018, which is 4 years before the Russian one came out, and it's called Love During Lockup. Yeah, and there's also a whole series of them. There's Love After Lockout, and there's Life After Lockout. We see the whole story of a few couples in there, and each new episode is what happened later in those couples' lives. And in Russian shows it's a bit different. Like each episode it's a new couple. So each episode is a whole story of one couple.
They found love online.
I discovered Alla on a website and I thought, oh my God, she's beautiful.
With a convict.
My man is a good man.
In prison.
Yes, he's still a good man.
But once released, they plan to marry.
I'm a Mormon girl. He's a gangbanger.
When you were in prison, you were one person, and then now that you're out, you're a different person.
Love After Lockup.
And there's also another show that I found called Prison Wives, which is kind of the concept of this Russian show. Is those women find this guy somewhere, mostly the guy finds them, and they get married to the guy in prison. So they kind of are prison wives.
I'm married to an inmate living in the US, visiting somebody that I've never seen.
What's this guy incarcerated for?
Carjacking and had a firearm.
I was sentenced to 50 years for aggravated robbery.
Why am I doing this? Prison brides.
A lot of them are not doing good. Crazy, right? It's crazy that the person in jail might not be the person at home, and this whole transition from jail to real world changes them, and when you see them once in a million years in prison, they can act like one thing and actually they're the other, and it's different when you actually live with them 24/7 and people change, and probably you saw the picture perfect scene before and now you're not. You can't get married if a guy who is in prison, I'm saying the guy because in all of those Russian episodes, the guy is the one in prison and the woman is the one that is not in prison. But yeah, it's obviously could be vice versa. So the guy who is in prison, they have to submit the paper that hey, I want to get married to this woman, here's her information. Then how it works in Russia, I didn't know this before watching the show, by the way, I'm not weird. And they can't choose the date, and the date is usually very close to the point when they submitted those papers. So it's in a week you get married, this is the day you get married if you want to. If they both show up and if they say yes, they will get married. Sometimes they have a separate room for that. Just an empty room, and the groom can't wear a suit. The groom wears the prison uniform, and the woman, yeah, she shows up mostly in white dress to the prison, and she goes there and gets married to this guy, and then she leaves. Oh, they also, in Russia, they have a long date because they got married. They can ask for that, and they might get approved if the guy behaves well in jail, but they have a 3-day long date in prison, but they get separate room for long dates room, and imagine what they're doing there for 3 days. We're gonna dive into the episode right now. First season, first episode. I can watch it all over again. I can watch them all if you like it. I don't even mind. It's hilarious, and in my opinion, it's super fun to watch. So if you want me to watch the show again or any other Russian show, I have a ton. I have a lot of those shows. Let me know in the comments. Favorites. Those who are waiting for their fiancés and husbands and ready to wait for a lifetime. In Russia, there's 420,000 inmates, and almost each one of them has a loyal woman outside. What makes women get involved with a man on the other side of a barbed wire? This show will tell the most unbelievable stories of prison love and will try to understand women who switch their lives in the waiting mode. Angelina was born and raised in a village in Saratov region. Here, she has her own business, expensive car, and a big house where she lives with her parents and a 7-year-old son from a previous marriage. Angelina divorced his father 5 years ago. We got married when I was 20. All was going well, I gave birth and we started having problems. Right after the divorce, she opened a perfume store with a friend in a nearby town. It all happened so fast, she supported me, we got a loan, it went fine, and I quickly made a decision to open another business. That's how Angelina opened a teeth whitening studio, and half a year later, her own restaurant. One time, she got a message from an old friend. He texted me, "Hi, it's Emil, remember me?" Of course I remember, I don't know many people with that name. I was glad. Angelina met Emil 7 years ago. He was a regular customer at the restaurant where she worked as a waitress. They introduced the woman to us, the main character of this episode, and yeah, each episode is a new couple, so we wouldn't see her again. She's like quite successful, she has her own businesses, like she has money, she's working, she's, doing a good job. She has a son from previous marriage, and also an unusual thing is that she knew the guy before prison, because mostly in the show, like, they don't know the guy before. He was a customer at the restaurant where she worked before. Now she doesn't even work at the restaurant, now she has her own businesses, which is like very successful for Russia and for this show specifically. He stopped coming in and I found out he's in prison. I didn't know for how long, the investigation was ongoing. I was upset. I remember I was very upset. 3 years passed, and by that time she got divorced and became a successful businesswoman. Emil stayed behind bars this whole time. When he got a right to use internet for being well-behaved, he immediately found Angelina in social media. We started talking in a friendly way at first. He told me about this whole situation that happened to him and that it's not his first time in prison, and it never scared me. I liked talking to him, even in a friendly way. But he gave hints that he liked me.
Emil, 43 years old, was born in Turkmenistan. After 8th grade, went to Petrol Technical School, but had to drop out soon. His family moved to Saratov region in town Balashov. For the first time, he found himself behind bars at the age of 19. He was sentenced for 4 years for inflicting minor bodily injury. He left prison at the age of 23, but 3 years later, he was put on a dock again. He got 6 years for inflicting major bodily injury. At the age of 36, while he's out, he meets Angelina. In a year, he was convicted for a 3rd time under a total of 3 articles: illegal possession of weapons, possession of drugs without intent to sell, extortion with violence. Emil got 9 years and was sent to prison in Saratov region. As of today, he is facing 3 more years in prison.
Now they introduce the guy to us, and the guy have been to prison 3 times. 3 fucking times he have been to prison. I would say that's done. Like, when the guy have been to prison 3 times and he did the same thing, he I guess he beat someone up till that someone had like severe injuries, and he have done that 3 times and got to jail 3 times because of that. And actually the 3rd time, the one he's in jail for right now, is not only that, but also carrying drugs, and like all drugs are illegal in Russia, and there's a lot of people who are in jail because of drugs. And that's actually the reason why like probably 90% of women are in jail, because drugs. And for men it's a bit different statistics, but still a lot of men are in jail because of drugs. But the fact that he injured somebody in a fight 3 times, it should be already a turn off for a woman who wants to be with him, because it's given me an impression that he can be violent and he can beat her or her little son from previous marriage if he gets mad. There's still 3 years left for him to stay in jail. But something is telling me, something like my brain is telling me that he probably will get to prison again, because clearly he solves problems by like beating people, and that will probably be the case. So yeah, that's an interesting life this woman is choosing. Why is she choosing this guy? Why doesn't it scare her that he has been to prison 3 times and he has anger issues, and like, why is it not scaring her? And he is in jail right now. Very questionable choices. It's just crazy that she wants to like get married to this guy. Ooh, spoiler, sorry. But yeah, she wants to get married in prison to this guy, which is great. It's actually kind of good that she knew the guy before he went to jail, because in most cases in the show they just don't know the guy and they saw him for like 2 times and then they got married in prison, which is hilarious.
I understood that my parents wouldn't let me go. Like, what would I tell my mom? Of course she supported me in everything, but I think this time she wouldn't be on my side. Angelina hesitated to tell where she's actually going, so she said that she's studying in another town.
Went to jail to meet this guy, and they even gave him this 3-day-long date that happens on the territory of prison, but in a separate building, I think, in like a room. I forgot that they take their phones, but it makes sense. Like, yeah, like they fully checked her that she didn't bring him drugs or something, and she also can't have her phone, and she lied to her parents about this whole thing, and she went to see him and she have been with him for 3 days. I think they can't have their phones in jail, but they do a lot of times, but it's a bit illegal, but nobody cares that much. And they also have like official phone calls from like this phone that is on the wall, and like they can officially call people, and like they have mobile phones, like regular, tiny phones that they hide under the mattress, and a lot of people have them. As you can see, I have watched this show a lot, but it's a bit illegal, so they don't really want to show it on TV, so they kind of lie about it and tell that it's official phone calls, which is probably not true, and they probably just call on their illegal phone under the mattress.
Angelina and Emil are in a relationship for 3 years. During this time, she had a long date with him 3 times. When you leave and realize that's it, you wouldn't see him for a long time, you feel very sad. And you have thoughts like, he'll be there for a long time, how would I do it? And I have feelings, I feel good with him, I love him. Inmate Emil will stay in prison for 3 more years out of 9. And a month ago, he asked Angelina to get married in prison. I said, of course, yes. During 3 years that they're together, Angelina's parents insist on their breakup and demand on choosing what's more important for her, family or prison romance. Last time Angelina and Emil saw each other was 2 years ago. After that, the prison introduced the rule according to which only relatives can have long dates. When you're married, it's easier to go on dates. It's all easier than to non-married. Today, Angelina found out that the wedding will be in a week. She's afraid to tell her parents.
And she even introduced this guy to her son, which is, I think, is super unnecessary at this point, but who am I to judge? And then he asked her to marry him, which is the key of the show, that they're getting married in prison. And it's hilarious. It's really funny. This whole scene of her in a wedding dress, going to prison to like get married to the guy. He has to submit papers beforehand, and they like bring the authorized person from like the marriage facility. They get married in there, and it's legal documents, and like she gets a stamp in her passport that she's now married, and he gets the stamp in his passport, and she can go home and he goes back to his cell. And that's the marriage you want, right? And they might get a long date because they got married. That's actually a motivation of a lot of men in this show, to like get married so they will have a 3-day long date, because they get bored in the cell and they like spend 6 years in there already in this prison with like same people, and they haven't seen women and like all this stuff. So the idea of 3-day long date with a woman that loves him is actually the reason for them to get married a lot of times. When she got this proposal, like they were probably talking on the phone, and he's like, "Will you marry me?" And she's like, "Yes, of course I will marry you." The prison guy who have been to jail 3 times for being violent and beating people. "Of course I want to marry you, and we have this child together. Yeah, I want this father for my kid." As they said, he submitted the papers, and they, like the prison person, told them that the marriage is in a week. So they have 1 week to like prepare for the wedding. That's actually like, why would you have a wedding in prison? Why can't you wait for those 3 years for him to get out and then get married? What will it change? And yeah, as they said, they would get more of those like long dates, and they like really want this long date, and they want it that bad that they are ready to like get married in prison. So to speed it up a bit, I will recap what happened. Like, she met some friend, and the friend told her that it's all right, yeah, get married to the guy. And then she was scared to tell her parents. Actually, it's a common thing in the show to like, the girl is scared to tell her parents that she's getting married to this prison guy, but they're all adults, and like she has her own business, and she's like an adult. I'm not sure why she needs like approval from her parents. Like, it's her life, it's her decision, whatever. But it's common trope in the show. She goes to the parents of the guy that love her and tells them to like talk with the parents of hers. To like, so the parents of the guy and her parents, they talk. It doesn't end up in anything good. They can't prove that this marriage is great. By the way, the parents of the guy obviously be like, he's a great guy, you should get married. But that's kind of like a thing that they always say. And the parents of a girl are like, who the fuck are you marrying? Why are you doing that? And she also didn't tell him yet that they're gonna get married in a week. Like, she just told him that he proposed. And she's like scared to tell him that in a week she'll get married to this random guy that they have never met. Parents' meeting didn't meet her expectations. She decides to tell her ex-husband about her plans. After the divorce, Angelina maintained a good relationship with Dmitry. She is waiting for support from him. Look, Emil proposed to me. I will marry him soon.
Did you tell our son?
Of course he doesn't know yet. I think he will be okay about it.
I don't think so.
I think he would. Why not? You live with another woman. Why wouldn't he feel okay about it?
At first, he doesn't know the person he will live with yet. Think about our son's future.
The only thing I do is think about our son's future. I got mad. I wanted to punch him.
I'm really annoyed with this whole situation. I don't know what she's going to do with this. She only thinks about herself. She's egoistic. The fact that she's marrying a convict also affects us, relatives.
Can he help someone out like before?
It is possible. You should think about it. Draw conclusions.
Is it that easy to provoke him?
He can. He is hot-tempered. 2 times, 3 times didn't teach him. But there are exceptions.
Are you trying to tell me that there's a possibility that he'll go back to jail again?
Maybe. I've known him for a very long time. I know what I'm talking about. Think about it. I've known Emil for 20 years. Hot-tempered, knows how to stand up for himself, loves justice. This kind of past wouldn't let him go. I know what I'm talking about.
So she talked to everyone, basically his friends, her friends, relatives, parents, and so on. And no one really supports her except of one friend of hers. But she still decided to get married to this guy in prison, and she will wait for her now husband for 3 more years. And also, she talked to her ex-husband because he's a father of their child, and like they talk. And she told him that she'll get married to this prison guy, this little boy. He will grow in a family of her and this like prison guy when he'll get back. And obviously, her ex-husband, the father of the child, was very much against it, and he's like, you're ruining our life, you're ruining his life, like it's super bad. Why is he saying that she's ruining their life too? In Russia, if you have a relative that has a criminal history, that have been to jail or like has some kind of like background like that, you can't work in police or you can't study to be a police worker. And I guess a few other professions, but I only remember police being super strict about it. She was married to him, so they're kind of relatives in this situation. But this way of thinking actually makes sense. Like he said, like, you're ruining our life too, and like my relatives' lives, because she's getting married to a prison guy, and now they have a prisoner, like a person with criminal record in their bloodline, in their like group of relatives. It certainly affects the child, the little boy that they have, that will now have a stepfather who is an ex-prisoner. So this little boy, if he wants to work in police or study to be a policeman or, I don't know, something out of this field, like something super, very legal stuff, he can't, because there's a person with criminal record directly in his family. And that's actually a thing. They like, if you want to work in police, they actually check everyone.
The best model. That's my dress. Thanks for insisting on getting a dress. I want to tell you that I'm marrying Emil. Is your head okay? What kind of wedding? What kind? Not enough mess? You also want a wedding? We discussed that his parents talk nicely about him. It's nice when he's here, when you have support. I have it. Where? In my heart. Long-awaited moment had come. Angelina is ready to become a spouse of an inmate Emil. Wedding in prison is a procedure with strict rules. You can't invite guests to the celebration. Ceremony is held in a separate building on the territory of prison, where only newlyweds, registry office worker and guards are present. At the entrance, bride gets searched and her personal belongings and documents are taken away. She will get her passport with a marriage stamp only on the way out. You only have 10 minutes for the ceremony. After that, newlywed husband would be taken to his cell. Soon he can submit the application for the long date with his wife. Shoujduli got permission to record the wedding under one condition: hide the inmate's face. Before continuing with documents, I would like to hear, is your wish to become spouses free, sincere and mutual? I ask you to respond, groom.
Yes, it is.
I ask you to respond, bride. Yes, it is. So now she's choosing a wedding dress. I wouldn't show you the whole process because who is interested in that? So she chose the dress and she goes to prison. They get married in like separate room, still in prison. And they don't get a 3-day-long date right away. He has to submit papers for this date to like claim it, and he would say like, I got married, so that's the reason why I should get this date.
Angelina still haven't had a long date with Emil. Soon after the wedding, he was moved to a stricter prison in Tver region. Inmates in such type of facilities don't have a right to meets and even calls. Every 2 weeks, Angelina gets a letter from Emil, but when she will get the chance to see him is still unknown.
At the end of the episode, they have a little afterlife of the characters of this show. So they, in fact, got married in jail. Then he did something which is probably like didn't obey the laws of prison, or he beat someone, had an argument, I don't know, did something bad in jail. So he got demoted. He had like a relatively good situation. Then he did something, they wouldn't tell us what, but I guess like got in a fight or something. And to punish him for that, they moved him to another jail in like another town, and he got a worse conditions, like more harsh prison conditions. So now he can't even call her on this like legal phone in the wall thing. He probably still has like a little cell phone in a prison cell, maybe not because it's like stricter jail. But they said that now he only writes letters to her, and they still haven't gotten the 3-day long date. They actually don't have dates because he's in stricter jail and they don't allow dates like that. So now they only talked by letters, which is very funny, and she should have known. She should have known that he will do something bad. And like even in jail, he isn't even out of jail, and he already did something which got him like into a stricter jail in another place. And now she can't even meet him, like they have to talk by mail. But she indeed got married, and like she is waiting for him, I guess. So that's the end of the story, and in my opinion, it's hilarious. It's actually very sad for the woman and her child and everyone involved, and her parents are very sad about it and they don't support her still. But yeah, this show, it has a lot of potential. I think it's crazy. I love that. Literally, like, write a comment about should I continue the genre of like watching Russian trash TV, Russian TLC. Or I can also watch other shows. There are a million other shows and like other channels. Hopefully I will still get monetization on this video. If not, I will cut out everything I could possibly cut out, but still leave some parts of the show. I love this content. I think you should see it. Content of Russian jail. Obviously it's not like realistic conditions of Russian jail, but it's close to it. Like, they are a TV channel that got a permission to film there, so obviously they all prepared for it. They cleaned, they painted the wall, like they filmed only the people who are like best of the best in this jail, whatever. They probably haven't seen like the realistic life in this jail, but still it was very close, and you can still see that it sucks. So that's the show. I will try to find her on like Instagram or something, and I will try to find info about her and this guy, like are they still together or what is happening in there. I checked in her Instagram and she's still waiting for him. He's still in jail in that last one where they moved him. She acts like she's super happy and like she's waiting for him, and there's actually pictures with her and the guy, and yeah, she like kinda is doing Instagram blog thing where she shows what she brings to him to jail and like how she goes to jail to like meet him and stuff. Let me know if I should watch more of that content, because I would love to, honestly. I would love this video to do well. It probably wouldn't, but still, I had a really fun time. Me and my child, my piglet. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your donations. Support me on Patreon, on YouTube, And bye. See you in the next one.